Hi, I'm Jason Bootle. I'm here to talk about embedding service thinking in organizations for UXDX EMEA. Today, you're going to learn about how we have been embedding service thinking at Babylon. And I'll be giving an example through a project called the Product Working Group. And if you're new to service design and service thinking, I'll give you some definitions and how we've structured our organization around service thinking and how design inputs can align and empower people in your organization to embed service thinking within yours. And finally, you're going to learn how working in partnership with senior stakeholders, you can realize your vision and deliver the best experience to all your users. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who has the best experience of all? Mirrors reflect reality. They don't lie. Well, unless you're going to a fun fair and you're in one of those holes of mirrors and you have, those kind of weird ones, or if you're a vampire, maybe. Well, actually, I was thinking it's probably reflecting a reality you don't really want to know about. And that's it. Mirrors play back a reality, and you have to take ownership, process it, and figure out what's going on. But let's just park that thought for a moment. I work for Babylon Health. We're a healthcare company. We were founded in 2013 and since have delivered millions of clinical consultations and artificial intelligence, AI, interactions. In 2020 alone, we've delivered over 2 million clinical consultations and about 3.9 AI interactions. We work with governments, health providers, insurers across the globe, and we support healthcare facilities from small local practices to large hospitals. And our mission is to putting an accessible and affordable quality healthcare service in the hands of everyone on earth. And it's a great mission. And I work part of the experience design team at Babylon, and there's a team of over 50 of us covering many disciplines: design systems, accessibility, user research, product service design, behavioral science, content and localization, and design operations. And we're hiring, so get in touch, check the job board. And our goal is to understand and design solutions for the people we serve. And the people we serve are our members, our patients, and the clinical providers that deliver the service across the world. And as a result, our experience design team spends hours each week talking with these people, understanding their needs, so we can create a very personalized experience for our members, no matter where they are in the world, whether that be in Rwanda, whether that be in Mississippi, rural Mississippi, or in London. So we do this so we know that we're building the right things for their needs. And this reminds me a lot of a quote from Peter Drucker. So he's an Austrian-American management consultant, educator and author, and he has this quote: "The purpose of business is to create and keep a customer." Now, some would argue that the purpose of business is to create money. And yeah, there's truth in that, but really you create money by creating value. And you create value by meeting the needs of people. If you're working in government or non-profit, if you don't focus on your customer, on the users, on the people you're raising money for, or the people you're serving, you will fail. Your charity will fall. Governments will be voted out. At Babylon, if we're not meeting the needs of our patients, of our clinicians, we're in trouble as well. And we need to meet those needs globally for people. So what is a service? A service is something that helps someone do something. Love this quote. Like learning to drive, buy a house, have a holiday. In Babylon, it's about, I want to get well, I need care, I want, and it's been interesting over the past, decade or so. There's been a shift away from products towards services. So many companies have moved to that. If you think about companies like Netflix or Airbnb, even Tesla, although there's a product, there's a service attached to it. DeWalt is another one. Power tools, where you subscribe to the tools. If the tool breaks or there's a better one, it gets swapped out. Services, move towards services. And service design is around the shaping of an organization's resources that result in better outcomes for users. In our case, our users are members, our patients, care providers, doctors, nurses, our care enablers, the support teams, the operations that deliver the service. And service design is looking at the end-to-end. Where does a user's journey start and where does it end? Yeah, but we're also looking front to back. We're looking behind the scenes. We're looking in front where the interactions are happening with the users. And with service design, there's a lot of systems thinking involved with this. Everything is connected. We're looking for those connections. If you change something at the start of the service, what does it mean further way down and vice versa? And if you think about clinicians, doctors, they're doing a similar thing. They're looking for connections. They're looking for opportunities. You know, they're looking at that holistic thing about what's going on in your life that could be influencing your health. And if you think about, I was chatting to a colleague about a superpower, yeah? Each profession, each discipline has a superpower. And what is the superpower of service designer? It's dealing with that fuzziness and that complexity, yeah? Identifying connections. We like being in those fuzzy, complex areas because we have an ability to visualize that complexity simply. So how are we embedding service thinking at Babylon? Well, I'm glad you asked. So the cool thing, well, the first thing, not the cool thing, but the first thing to start with is user problems, yeah? And I mentioned all the users that we have, patients and doctors and support, and you really want to love their problems. Don't love the solution. You want to get into that problem, really understand what's causing it. So then you can look at all the different ways to solve that solution. The next thing is around measurable outcomes. How do you know you're doing a good job? I talked about that complexity. You know, everything is connected, that systems thinking. If you make a change somewhere, how do you know it's made the right impact? You need to have measurable outcomes. What does success look like? Are you measuring the right thing? The next thing we've been doing at Babylon is we've structured our organization around experiences. Amy Keeling is our VP of design, and she's set us up around a centralized partnership. This is based on the work of Peter Merholtz and Kristen Skinner. But our team is focused on member and clinical support experiences end to end, you know, and we're partnering with feature teams in product and engineering. So there's this partnership where we're owning that experience. We've set up our teams around engagement, managing your health, you know, getting care and getting treatment. So let me tell you about a problem we had. I mentioned earlier we have this product working group. We had a North Star vision at the start of the year of where we wanted to go with the experience. And when you have a vision, that's great, but the hardest part is how to start iterating towards that vision and how to set off. And it was suggested we set up this product working group. And what that was getting key senior leadership across the service, marketing, product, engineering, clinical, operations, XD, experience design, research and design, and content, yeah? And we wanted to be that opportunity to be a mirror to the organization. Oh, hang on, there's that word, mirror. We wanted to mirror to the organization what the experience looked like. And the outcome we were looking to achieve was alignment across the organization, across that experience. We wanted to unblock any barriers to delivering the best user experience. Yeah. Now, Babylon is a big company now. It's growing very, very fast. I've worked in some smaller companies. Even in smaller companies, you're going to have some misalignments and stuff. And you can see from this quote, you know, we've had that. We've grown fast. So there's going to be glitches and there's going to be times where things are just not quite gelling. So we were keen to actually knuckle down and align, get that alignment. So what did we learn from the product working group? There are three things I'm going to talk through. I'm going to focus in on one in depth. But the first thing was around design outputs. As a service designer, I told you we're kind of trying to map complexity. We're trying to visualize complexity. Yeah. And mapping allows you to sort of understand the as is, where you are. You know, if you don't know where you are, you can't actually figure out where you need to get to. And that allows you to map future states. And we do this through a variety of mapping techniques: service blueprint, journey maps, story mapping, and ecosystem mapping. I'm not going to go into depth, but if you want to catch up with me afterwards, we can talk about those. The other thing we did was created a taxonomy from this. And that's a common language to describe things. So one of the things when you've got a big organization, you want someone in Wolverhampton, when they talk about onboarding, they know exactly what it means, as does someone in Rwanda or Missouri. Yeah, we wanted our whole organization to have a common language across things. And we did that by creating this service taxonomy. And this allowed us to have that wayfinding, that navigation, shared understanding. The next thing that we learned from Product Working Group that allowed us to embed service thinking in the organization was the skills and knowledge transfer. So we're creating these design outputs, and this has allowed us to actually take a leaf out of the Book of Surgeons, how they learn. They see one, do one, and teach one. Yeah, so we created these assets, we created these things which then could actually be used by other teams. The taxonomy, we're creating mapping templates for people to take on. Commercial team have used it. User research teams have used it in usability studies. Product designers, product, fantastic. You know, and that's it. And these things tap into different mental models: visual, auditory, reading and writing, kinesthetic. That's see one, do one, teach one. You can build these, and it starts to really embed the service thinking, that end to end across the organization. And it's been tricky. There's a lot of work to get that taxonomy inputted in and fed back, but it's reaped the rewards. The final thing I wanted to talk about in depth was around a collaborative environment. Now, this is difficult, right? I kid you not, in many organizations, but we wanted to be, we wanted to be that mirror again. We wanted to be showing, not telling. Yeah. We wanted things to be self-evident and people to make the connections themselves. We wanted that ownership. Yeah. Self-evident, like a mirror. And that's hard. Okay. When you're dealing with senior leadership, sometimes you can have egos. Now, we don't have many egos at Babylon, thankfully. We have some, like any organization, but you wanted people to leave their egos at the door, and you wanted to create a safe space. We wanted to create a safe space for open discussion. Yeah. Now, I've been at places where there's been rivalry, the way that the KPIs have been set up. There's you know, annoyance and whatnot, and you get seagulls come in. You may have heard of seagulls, people that come in and swoop and poop and then leave. And hippos, you know, the highest paid person in the room who's, you know, everyone's worried about saying anything about because they're going to upset them. It's challenging, but we wanted that conversation. We wanted that discussion. We wanted people to see the experience, make up their own minds, and then start having that open discussion. How are we going to unblock things and move it on? And it's not easy, but we've done it. We've got really good engagement from senior leadership, and they're invested in these meetings. And we've done that by creating value. You know, looking back at my career, you know, I've had these sessions with senior leadership, and I realized I've just wasted people's time. I haven't actually, you know, used their time and used their skills to the best. We talk about superpowers, right? Earlier. What is senior leadership good at? Asks, unblocking things, making decisions, moving things on. Yeah. So we've made sure we've made these meetings around that. What is the ask where we want from senior leadership? We want to be direct. We've also learned rescheduling doesn't work. Sometimes we've had clashes. You're dealing with lots of busy people across the organization. People can't make it. We've tried rescheduling. It's made it worse. We've got less people come. Keep the diary date in the calendar and record things. If people are engaged, they will watch it, and you can watch things on double speed nowadays, so that's all good as well. The last thing really is around understanding business. You know, if you're going to enter this space, you really need, as a service designer, you're looking at the end to end, you're looking at the front to back. You need to have a good understanding how business works and you know, what the goals of business are. And before these meetings, we've made sure we've had some rules. I think it's really important. We have a rules of engagement, and we've had a clear agenda, and we've had outcomes. So we, you know, people know in advance why they're coming and what they need to give, what they need to bring to the table in those sessions. And when you're facilitating, it's really good to have silence. You want to create that space for discussion. You know, you want everyone to have a voice. You want to keep time, but you want to keep people moving on. And you need to up the energy, you know, you need to make it enjoyable. It's been hard enough year as it is, so let's have fun with these meetings. And as part of that, you know, moving things on, anything that's outside of those outcomes that we're trying to achieve, you know, focusing on those outcomes, we've parked anything that's not outside of those and said, okay, we'll follow up with this later. This is another discussion. And as a result, we've reviewed actions. So we've kept an action log and we reviewed them because we want to make people accountable. You know, if this is going to be a useful meeting, you've said you're going to do something. Did you do it? You know, but practice and be prepared 100%. And finally, we wanted to create, as part of that collaborative environment, we needed collaborative software. We've been in a pandemic. We're in a conference now. We're not face-to-face, unfortunately, hopefully next year. But thankfully, there's lots of software now that's allowed us to do that. We're a global company. You know, we have people in America, in the UK, in Asia, Africa. Thankfully, you know, and you need that software to collaborate, to get together. So we've been using Zoom. We've been using Miro, Figma, and Slack. And there has a good usability to them. We've ran little sessions to help people quickly understand how to make comments and leave post-it notes and things like that. We still have lots of challenges to overcome. You know, this is an iterative process. We're still learning. And, you know, getting the right people in the room sometimes, and also making sure the focus addresses the whole end-to-end and everyone in the room is weighted right. So, you know, as a product and engineering team, we often can focus a bit more of that and forget a little bit more about the operational and clinical side. But we're addressing those things, which is great. So in conclusion, we've been embedding service thinking by focusing on user problems and measurable outcomes, organizing our team around an end-to-end experience, empowering people to create shared understanding through design outputs. And we've created a leadership forum to mirror and own the end user experience. And I'm really proud of this work. I think there's lots of people involved I haven't been able to shout out, but you know, it's come back in this product quote. The bigger picture has become clearer, not just individual views of the product. It's helped me identify who to work with rather than hurdles to overcome. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who has embedded service thinking best of all? Thank you. If you'd like to get in touch about working at Babylon, hit me up. It's on the job board. Thank you very much.